Hello. How are you guys tonight? All right, Dan, are we ready to do this or what?
We might as well.
All right, Pam and Dan Witkowski. And in case you don't know who you are, and somebody just sent you this link and said, just get on because these two crazy people are going to be doing some stuff in their kitchen tonight regarding food and plant-based meal prep and giving you some ideas and tips. I'm Pamela Witkowski. This is my husband, Dan.
I'm Dan Witkowski.
We're doing a webinar tonight, live from our kitchen. Dan's a lifestyle medicine physician, specialist, certified plant-based nutritionist. We're parents of 6, grandparents of 3. We are not professional chefs. We, right? I mean, I don't know, unless, Dan, you take courses in your sleep. I mean, you're like...
I taught myself on the cutting board. If you see some techniques that you haven't seen, or if there's some chefs out there, I'm just a home chef. I just cook on my own, and I have a few techniques that I use and some things that I've learned, and just cooking all the time is how I learned how to do it.
So we're just giving you some of our best practices. We have a large family, as we mentioned, so we not everybody's on the plant-based train. Well, some people are on the front car. Some people are, sort of there, but we do our best. And again, we're just trying to share what we've done over the last 10 years to be on this journey of plant-based eating and to, just predominantly eat plant-based meals. We're asking you, we're challenging you, if you have not adopted plant-based nutrition, try it a couple of times a week. Just dedicate 2 days a week to saying, you know what, these 2 days, I'm not going to eat anything but plant-based foods. Does it sound like a good idea?
Well, we don't want to put labels on it too. It's not like something's vegetarian or vegan, because when you look at the science, when you look at the people that live the longest all over the world, none of them eat vegetarian or even vegan. Some of them do, maybe in Loma Linda, California, the Seventh-day Adventists, many of them are vegetarian, at least mostly vegetarian. But when you look at some of the other areas of the world, like Okinawa, Japan, they don't live a vegetarian or vegan life. They add fish to the diet. They add small amounts of animal products, meats, dairy to their diet. So it's not that you have to be so cut and dried, so strict, 100% vegetarian or vegan, but it's about a lifestyle, about how you conduct yourself and how you accept food and nutrient-dense food that is going to feed your body and give the nutrients that you need, that you want to give yourself that vitality and that energy that everybody's looking for every single day.
Well, eat disease-fighting food, not disease-promoting food.
Right.
I mean, and that's the thing is, when you're eating something, say, is this going to promote disease? And you know what it is. If I gave you 2 plates of food, which ones are going to be disease promoting and which ones are going to be disease fighting. We're trying to give you some ideas. We have done what we call meal stacking. You probably already do it, but maybe you just don't call it that. Or 3, 4, 5 meal prep. And what that is meal stacking is, you don't need a recipe. Just get all the good nutrient dense foods that you love. We recommend that you do get those foods in 4 categories, right, Dan?
Fruits, vegetables, legumes, all the beans, all the peas, the peanuts, and then the natural grains with nuts and seeds. So you might want to just look at some of the things that you might have in your refrigerator, look at the things that you might have in your pantry, and if they fall into those 4 food categories, take them out. I can remember when we were first trying to learn how to put foods together. We would go on Pinterest. I would be in the refrigerator or in the pantry, and I would yell out, broccoli, cauliflower,
black
kale,
beans.
black beans. And we put
rice.
it all on Pinterest and see what kind of recipes came out with those ingredients, just so you get some ideas. It's not that hard, but it's really about getting the foods you like, that you're going to eat, and that you put them together and create these plant-based meals. So we're not saying it has to be all or nothing. And sometimes it might just be starting. Do it 1 day, 2 days a week, but it might just be starting.
And the 3, 4, 5, when we ate more animal products way back in the day, actually we've been on this journey for about 10 years. Sorry, Dan, something caught in your throat. Anyway, we ate around the same 3 breakfasts, around the same 4 lunches, and around the same 5 dinners, day in, week out, week out, week in, week out. right? I mean, you have those things that you go to, that's like in your repertoire. So what we've worked on doing, Dan, is to replace those things with plant-based foods. And what we discovered is, like, we really eat just about the same breakfast every day, and we went over that last week, actually 2 weeks ago in episode 2, and we talked about our breakfast bowl, and that we eat 6 days a week, and then one day on the weekend, we'll do like some sort of pancakes or waffles, or maybe we'll make some avocado toast or something like that. But it's just like when you could take the thinking out of it, and you already know you have those ingredients, you know what you love, and just boom, you make it, and it works. And it's just, now you know that you're going to start the day off great. And about the same 4 lunches and about the same 5 dinners. So what we're going to do tonight is just give you some ideas about things that we eat, day in and day out, and things we always have in our refrigerator and our pantry. Because if you're well stocked, I always say to people, if I came to your house and stocked your refrigerator and your pantry with all good, delicious, nutritious foods, and then told you how to make that and put it all together, you would do it. I know you would eat that way. Okay. We will talk about a couple of processed foods, some fast foods, because you know what? Everybody wants that fast food option. So we'll talk about some that, we have in our repertoire too, that may be a little bit better than what, you may formally be choosing. Okay. So Dan, what is the first thing you're going to do today?
Probably going to just stop preparing a meal. And usually when we start to prepare a meal, we want to think about what's going to go in the bottom of the plate, or, are there going to be some green leaves? And then what kind of grain are we going to use to create that kind of meal?
So we have our bowl with leafy greens. Now, you know what? You could put, a soup. Now, how much leafy greens are people supposed to be eating, Dan? I mean, what do you recommend?
I say that if you really want to stay healthy and you want to get all the benefits that leafy greens give us, then you want at least 4 handfuls every single day. If you have conditions that you want to reverse, let's say like heart disease, then you want to think of a few more, because what happens is not one food is always better than another food. There aren't good for you foods. Sometimes foods that we think are good for us really aren't good for us, but they can substitute for foods that are worse for us, or those disease-causing foods like Pamela mentioned. But we're trying to eat foods that give us the nutrients that our body loves. And if we fill our calories every single day with foods like that, then we're going to tend to stay away from those foods that will do us harm. So green leaves are never going to do us harm. They're some of the most nutrient-dense foods that we can find on the planet. So if we want to really get the benefits from them, have them satiate us, have them fill our gut, then you're looking at 4 handfuls a day. So that's maybe a handful with your dinner, maybe a handful or 2 at lunch, and then figure out a way to get them in underneath things or around your plate, or just get them in some way. If it's 6 handfuls that you need because you're trying to turn around your heart condition or diabetes or other problems that you might be having that are chronic illnesses, then you might want to increase it to 6. So it might be a couple of handfuls underneath the rice when you're doing a stacking method.
We always have baby spinach, kale, mixed greens. Sometimes, like my daughter Anna, she loves like butter lettuce or red leaf lettuce, so she loves that. But these 3 are always in there. Yeah, we did the chopped kale this week because I couldn't even find any regular kale. As you know, we're under quarantine, so it's been interesting finding some other alternatives for things that we have typically been using but not been able to find. So on here, the leafy greens, we could put quinoa, any grain that you love. We always, again, have brown rice. It's just a staple in our house. And Dan's going to show you how he cooks up the brown rice and actually makes it yellow. So I don't know if you make your brown rice yellow.
One of the complaints I've always heard when I talked about eating rice and make sure that it's either brown rice, red rice, or black rice, people would say, oh, I don't like brown rice. I don't like the way it looks on my plate. So I brought that home when I started preparing my rice, and I noticed, when you make brown rice, it just doesn't look like that nice, shine, polished white rice. It's got that brown kind of husk still on the rice, and it's just not very appealing, especially for children. So I said, what can I do? and I thought of maybe making saffron rice, but who can afford to cook with saffron every single day? So I went with the poor man's saffron, the turmeric. And so all I did was I just added a couple of shakes, maybe a half a teaspoon of turmeric to the boiling rice, and it turned it yellow. One of the things I wanted to show you is how I like to prepare my rice. Now, rice has arsenic in it, right? All rice has arsenic in it. Some have more arsenic than others, and arsenic is poisonous to us. But you'd have to eat a lot of rice to have that to cause a problem with you. However, if you just don't want any arsenic in your life, it's so easy to get rid of. Rice is grown in these rice paddies. It's full of water. The arsenic's in the ground. The arsenic is water soluble. So it gets up into the water of the rice paddy, and it gets up into the rice because there's just so much of it around. So if it's in the rice, like it always is, and this is some brown rice from India that I like, and I just have about 2 cups left in this bag. So I'm just going to dump it right into my pot. And so when you do that, usually the rice package will tell you, that you should rinse your rice because it's just a grain product that comes from the earth. So it's always good to clean it. So I'm going to rinse the rice. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse it with some water and let it just sit in that water for a couple of seconds even, and then get it out. And what I'm doing is I'm getting that arsenic out of the rice. So I stir it with my hands into the water, and then I'm just going to drain. Let me just see if I can get my sieve. Just drain that water, and that water contains a lot of the arsenic that's in that rice. And if I do it again, I just want to just drain it twice, rinse it twice. That gets all the arsenic out of there, and then you can know that your family is going to eat a lot safer rice than when it came out of the package.
Dan, is there like certain areas of the world, like if you see where it is coming from, it is more arsenic laden than
Yes.
than from other areas of the world?
Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean? Okay.
Well, they find that if you get rice from places like Tennessee or places like Texas, where there's a lot of oil fields and there's a lot of arsenic in the soil, yes, there will be more arsenic in your rice, and you probably should rinse that a little bit more. If you get it from an area like India or China or even from California, rice from those regions have a lot less. I mean, it still has some, so you still want to rinse it. The other thing is that I do with brown rice is when I put the water in, you saw I didn't even measure it because I don't cook brown rice like the package says. 2 cups of water for every cup of rice, and then just throw it in the rice cooker, set it, and forget it. That's not what I do. I cook it like pasta. I cook it with more water. Again, the arsenic's water soluble, so that will draw more of that arsenic out even while it's cooking. So I have about 3 cups to the 1.5 cups, maybe even 4 to 5 cups to that 1.5 cups of rice that I put in there, and I just turn it on. Some people like to get the rice to be a little stickier, so they'll add some vinegar to it. Some people would like to maybe add a little salt to the water. I don't like to do that because it draws the moisture out of the rice, and so it doesn't come out that good. I just like to cook it, but this is the magic moment. This is where I take one of my favorite spices, turmeric, and I just, when I put it in there, just put a couple of shakes or a half a teaspoon to turn that water yellow. This is a brand new package. Gotta take the cover off, and that will then turn the water a little bit yellow, and it will turn that rice golden yellow. Camo, can you show what the rice, how it turns out?
Okay.
And you just let that cook. And we'll let that cook during the presentation tonight. But what I like to do is just say it takes about 17 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. I start tasting it around 15 to 17 minutes to see if it's al dente, to see if it's the way I like it. Some people like it a little softer, some people like it a little firmer, so you just do it the way you like it. Sometimes if I'm going to have a lot of leftovers, I keep it a little firmer so that when you reheat it or reuse it, it doesn't really fall apart. But that's what it looks like when it's all done, and it's a little more appetizing when you see it that color rather than that brown color that brown rice will take on. after it's cooked.
So then we'll just put this, on top of the leafy greens. Okay. So now we're starting with that stacking. And then next, we'll consider legumes or veggies. And you know what? It's whatever you love. Some people tell me they hate black beans. They hate, parsnips.
Right.
You pick whatever you have. And this is where leftovers come in, handy. And frozen vegetables, don't forget those. Flash frozen vegetables, super, super easy. So if you don't have time to start chopping up your vegetables, you're coming home from work and you're just not prepared, make sure you have a lot of frozen vegetables. Most of them translate very, very well to steaming or roasting. And they just can really mimic the fresh vegetables if you don't have it. I just did, and I cannot wait for it to come. This is a good tip that my daughter Sarah told me about. Misfits, misfitmarket.com, and you can get all of the misfit, that's like, all the ugly looking fruits and vegetables, the ones that don't look so beautiful, but they are perfectly fine.
Yes.
And they'll be delivered to your door once a week if you want, once every other week. You get a small box, a big box, you can get it once a month, whatever. But misfitsmarket.com, I send you guys a code, and then you can get, I think you get 25% off and I get 25% off. So, but I just wanted to tell you about that. They are still delivering now, even though we're into quarantine. The delivery is a little bit delayed. I ordered mine about 10 days ago, and it's coming on Saturday. But that's a great tip. And then that way you don't even have to think about your veggies, and they will send you, what's available for the week. So the current local veggies, and I don't know if there's fruits in there as well. I think there are. So misfitsmarket.com.
So one of the things then, so we're talking about creating that meal, that stacking. You saw that we put the green leaves on the bottom. Then we'll put some nice warm rice on top of those green leaves, and we're starting to create this meal. Then we talked about maybe vegetables. How are we going to make these vegetables? Whether those vegetables are your favorites, like broccoli or cauliflower. Now, I'm already going down the list of the cruciferous vegetables because those are really my favorite. Because not only are they nutrient dense, but they're also cancer fighting. Cruciferous vegetables, the big five: broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, kale, and the fifth one.
Broccoli, cauliflower.
Anyways, I have a
Cruciferous
couple here. I have a couple here. I have some cabbage.
That's right. That's it.
Some
That's
red
the
cabbage.
one.
I usually go with red cabbage because the color in food is the antioxidants. So if you're going to go that light green cabbage or white cabbage or purple cabbage, it's always great to go with the darkest color. There's the most antioxidants. But when you're cooking cauliflower, sometimes, again, cauliflower can be boring. A lot of people say it doesn't have any great taste. It doesn't add any color to my plate. Well, here's my good friend again. We just go back with the turmeric, and if you want to make your cauliflower on the stovetop and you want to, let's say, boil or steam, especially if you boil your cauliflower, you just add a little bit of that, again, a couple of shakes of that turmeric into the water while it's boiling, and it turns that cauliflower this delicious looking yellow color that really brightens up any meal. And then you can put that on the plate, and it's absolutely delicious. I'm just going to take a look at my rice here, just give it a little stir. It's not quite boiling yet. And if you want to add some vegetables and you like to roast your vegetables, then you can use things like onions and garlic with potatoes. And I just have some white Maine potatoes here. And you just got to cut them up and throw them in the oven. What I have found is that they works the best. They really come out crispier and better if you use a cookie sheet. In the old days, Pam and I used to always use, like a Pyrex,
baking pan.
And we always couldn't get them crispy.
Well, they would steam. So, I mean, if you do like them softer, that is a tip. Just do them, in a glass baking pan, and they will steam up. But we like them crispy.
So if you just take a cookie sheet and you're worried about everything sticking on the cookie sheet, you just use some parchment paper. So parchment paper is a really great trick that you just put on the bottom. And again, I like to trim my parchment paper so that it's not moving all over the place when it's in there, inside the oven. So I'm just going to use my scissors, trim it right down the sides so that it sits on the bottom nice and evenly.
Get the Boston accent going tonight, Dan.
Parchment paper. So I just want to use that paper just on the bottom so that nothing's going to stick to it. And then if you want to just cut up a couple of onions and a couple of pieces of garlic. I smash my garlic to really release those oils, and it peels a lot easier. And then my onions. The trick with onions so that you don't cry, I don't know if people know this, but you leave the root of the onion on. So I cut the top off just to give myself a nice flat surface so I won't make that knife go all over the place. And then I just cut it right down the middle to leave that root. You see that root there? And then I take the peel off. I take the outer skin off. I peel it off. But look, I'm not really getting anything, any of the oils up to make me start crying at all. It doesn't make my eyes water at all. Once I get that, then I'm going to make this not into very small dice pieces, but just some pieces. So I'll cut it down the lengthways and then cut it across, and then you have some nice pieces of onion. Just do it again on the other side. Just take the skin off. Again, cut it along the grain, along the grain that you see there, and then maybe a couple of cuts, and then get rid of that area where the root is.
Doesn't matter.
Then if you want to do that, look at that piece of garlic. Again, if you just, I lost that piece of garlic, if you just smash the garlic, cut the top off, it peels real easily. And once I have that, I just chop that up. And once I get that chopped up, I can add that with my onion. And I've washed these potatoes earlier. So now what I like to do is I take them along its flat side, to cut it in half. And then all I do is I cut it a few times to get these pieces chopped up pretty small. And again, when you're chopping things that are going to be cooking for a while in the oven or in the soup, you want to try to cut them as even as possible so they cook as even as possible. And then you just mix this together. I usually then toss those into a bowl. The onions, the garlic, the potatoes, toss them into a bowl. I use a little bit of olive oil. Again, extra virgin olive oil. Is it good for you? Well, it's better than other oils. There are many that will argue that, part of the Mediterranean diet that's been shown to really give people longevity, give people that lifestyle that we were talking about. The olive oil is a big part of that diet. However, when you look at the studies and what types of omega-3s or omega-6s and omega-9s that are in here, there is both good and bad, but it does land on a better side of oil. So just if that's the oil you choose, then I just drizzle a very small amount over my potatoes, onions, and garlic. I use a spoon and then just mix it all together, just so I can get that oil and really evenly distributed. And then my favorite ingredients, a little bit of salt to season it, a little bit of pepper to season it. I use garlic powder. Just I put a little bit over the top. And I like a little, my other two are thyme and a little bit of rosemary. Some of my other favorites that I have out here on the countertop is basil, nice and sweet, gives it a nice aroma also, and you might want to just shake a little bit of that over it too.
Dan, your rice is boiling.
Great. So if I just turn my rice down a little bit, like I said, it's going to need about 15 minutes, but I don't need any timer. I don't need anything on there because I'm going to be checking it in a few minutes too. So if I just mix these all together and then put it on the cookie sheet that has the parchment paper on it and throw it in an oven, and I like that oven about 390, 400, so that I can really crisp up the outside and keep that inside nice and soft. And when I finish getting that pan filled up, I put it in the oven, and it takes about 15 or 20 minutes, and there it is. So again, that oven was about 400 degrees, 390 to 400, and it probably took, and it depends on what size you want to make these pieces. But if you make them nice and small, because you're in a little bit of a hurry to get these on the plate of everybody, you can make them smaller, or you can make them bigger, but it just takes a little bit longer to cook. But that's roasted potatoes with onion and garlic. And then I just spice them up. Everyone should just learn what they're doing with a couple of spices. And once you find the spices that you need, then you just go with them, and everybody will love the cooking that you make. You can also use this head of cabbage just to cut it into big pieces, just to kind of steak it. And I just use my big chef's knife just to steak it like that. And then again, I can put it on that parchment paper. I can put a little olive oil on it, add a little salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder. And then when you put it in that oven at 400 again, it comes out all nice and roasted. And you should just see how sweet that cabbage can be when it's done this way. When you roast it and it gets real soft and delicious, and it's unbelievable. This here is some cauliflower. This is that plain white, but I roasted it so it gets a little brown on top. It doesn't really get crispy, but it gets a little brown on top to give it a little color. So roasted cabbage and roasted cauliflower. And I showed you earlier about putting that yellow turmeric inside with the cauliflower to make it nice and yellow. I just want to remind everybody that when you cook cruciferous vegetables have special compounds in them and an enzyme in it, that when you chew it and you mix that enzyme with the compound, it will make that cancer-fighting sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is the compound in cruciferous vegetables, or formed by cruciferous vegetables, that give us the cancer protection. However, when you cook it, all of a sudden you lose that enzyme. That enzyme gets denatured. And when it gets denatured, it doesn't want to work, so you can't form the sulforaphane. So you have to say, how can I get that enzyme into my food again? Because the substrate is there, the compound that forms the sulforaphane is there, but the enzyme's been denatured. So what you do is just add the enzyme back. And the easiest way to add that enzyme back is to add mustard seed powder. And I have some mustard seed powder here that I'm just gonna sprinkle, not a lot, just a little. Just sprinkle it on my cauliflower, or sprinkle it on my roasted cabbage that I have. Just a cup that you'll never taste it, and yet you'll get that enzyme back, so that when you eat that cruciferous vegetable, you will get those cancer-fighting benefits. So remember, cruciferous vegetables, the broccoli, the cauliflower, the cabbage, the kale, when they're cooked, that enzyme gets denatured, you're not getting all the benefits you need. Just add a pinch of mustard seed powder and they'll be back.
So what you're saying is you can take this, so now you have your spinach and you have your brown rice that you made yellow, and cancer fighting, right?
Yeah.
And then you can add any of the roasted veggies that you made, and you can put those on there.
Right.
And what are we missing, Dan? We're missing some legumes.
Right.
Don't forget that peas, just like a bag of frozen peas, you can make those up super quick, and that's a legume. So that's great, and that's easy. And I know, like, my kids like peas, and that's like can be one of those kid friendly vegetables or legumes. But we made the lentil tacos the other day, and I will share with you this recipe. I did put it on Dan's Facebook page, but this was super easy to make. It was just garlic and onion sauteed in a pot. Put the lentils in. I used dried lentils, and lentils come in all different colors. I think
Those are
these
brown.
were brown lentils. Okay, and with some veggie broth. And then when the lentils were soft, but not mushy, I just put some salsa and mix some salsa, some no oil salsa in there. And you can find no oil salsas at almost all the supermarkets. And that's it. And then we put this into our taco wrap that we did
I just want to
the other
say
day.
the no oil salsas, if any of you out there just say, I can't eat no oil salsa, I just don't like the way it tastes, you can make your own salsa at home. It's so simple. The ingredients are almost, uniform. You start out with a little garlic, a little onion, you add your diced tomatoes, you add some cilantro, and then if as spicy as you want to make it, you can either add some red pepper flakes, or you can add some jalapeno if you have some of that, or any other kind of pepper that you might have in your refrigerator or on your countertop. But it's so easy to make a salsa. Add a little lime, and then if you want to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, because that will give it the flavor you're looking for, at least you know how much you put in. At least you know it's not a trans fat. It's not a man-made fat that will be more detrimental to your body. It'll be a more natural fat like olive oil.
And
it's so simple.
A lot of the salsas just have so much sodium too.
So much sodium.
So
this way
when you make it
control
yourself, you can control that as well.
It's so delicious when it's homemade and fresh.
So somebody has a question. Our daughter Anna is womaning the the Q&A tonight. So what, Anna? What's
Karen's asking, does mustard work? I toss my veggies in mustard.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great idea. Mustard is fantastic. In fact,
as a flavoring.
Yes.
But it's not the raw mustard seed that gives you the enzyme, so your cruciferous vegetables will give you that cancer-fighting sulforaphane. So no, the answer just to use regular mustard won't work. You have to use the raw mustard seed powder. And a mustard seed, you'd have to grind it yourself if you have a grinder or something that you could smash it with a spoon or something. But you can break that, but it should be the seed itself.
I didn't know. I didn't know that she was referring to the to that. But you can use mustard, and in fact, I just I'm going to use some mustard in a few minutes. But mustard is a great flavoring. Again, all of those things are not created equal. Make sure that you look at the back of the bottle or the can or the package, whatever it is, to make sure that it has that reduced sodium. It doesn't have any of that high fructose corn syrup or any kind of added sugars that you are trying not to put into your body. So make sure. I was surprised at pickles. Now pickles is a nice condiment I like to add to different things, but you go and you look at some of the pickles that you may have been getting for your, picnics and things and sandwiches, and there's some junk in them, but you can get them better than others. And also, you can make them. I have never made pickles. My cousin Anthony makes amazing pickles, but I have never made them. But you can get those that don't have all that junk ingredients in them. So now we have our spinach and we have our brown rice turned yellow and we have our lentils. Maybe we wanted instead, somebody wanted chickpeas. Maybe you can add black beans, maybe pinto beans. Again, and you can find lots of recipes on the Google on how to just season them the way you like. If you like savory, if you like sweet, if you like sweet, use cinnamon. You're gonna use add
some of my cauliflower that I roasted. If I want to add a little bit of my roasted purple cabbage, on there, that's also makes for a wonderful plate.
But this is really shaping up nicely. So, all right, Dan, what else? Oh, you didn't add some potatoes.
So here again, back with the rice, I'm just about done with it. When I get to about this point, when I feel it and I see that it's starting to get soft, I just take out a couple of grains and I'll just taste it. I'll put it down to let it cool a little. I'll put it down on a cutting board and then I'll just taste it. And that is just like I like it. I like it a little bit to the bite, a little al dente, not too soft. It starts to fall apart if it gets too soft. If too much water gets absorbed into that rice, it kind of breaks that shell, it breaks that husk, and it gets kind of mushy. But I'll show you as I get my colander, take my heat off, as I get my sieve over here by the sink, I just want to just drain the rice, and you can see, again, well, maybe not too well from that angle, but I'll come back over and show you how beautiful this rice ends up being when you just add that little bit of yellow to it, so that it gives it a great color, and it just doesn't look like that brown, unappealing rice on your plate when you're making your plate. So the last thing I wanted to say too is there's another favorite that we have in this house, and you know that Pamela and I love to use our air fryer. We love our air fryer, and I have Mrs. Phillips right over here. We like the Phillips brand, so we just have to name it something. So in the air fryer is where I like to make carrots, and I cut my carrots kind of not really julienne, but I cut them kind of thick, like almost like French fries, and I make carrot French fries that the kids love. They're so sweet. They're a little bit firmer than a sweet potato fry, yet I think they're packed with a lot more flavor. So the ones I like to pick, if I have a bag of carrots, are the thinner ones. Sometimes all you have is a thicker carrot, but if you can get the thin ones, it just makes it easier to prepare. And once it's cut up, and what I do is, again, I'll cut them up after I peel them, and you can see the size of them. I'll cut the carrot in half, and then create these fries that I throw in the air fryer, and I fried them earlier this evening.
And again, you can season them. What did you season these with?
I season those with my starting salt, a little bit of pepper, and then I like to put garlic and onion on them too, and that really gives them a nice flavor. And I think every good plate starts with garlic and onion.
Garlic, but you can put.
I'll take these.
can't keep them in the house.
But it's so easy. I mean, just a peeler. I would just peel the carrot. Once you peel the carrot, you have that nice thin carrot. It's long, so those fries, you don't want to have them too long. First of all, they won't fit inside the air fryer. But then I just cut the top off. I cut the bottom off to keep it as even as possible. And you can see the thin ones are easier. I'm going to cut this one in half to work with, because you just have to really quarter it. Cut it in half and cut it in half again to make it a quarter. And then that skinnier end, maybe just in half. And again, just like I said with everything else, when they're a little bit thicker, that's fine, because that's the way they're going to cook up nicely. But even, you want them to be about the same size, about the same thickness, so that when you put them into the fryer and you're going to cook them, then they're going to be better. Again, you don't just cut them and throw them in there. I put them back in a bowl. I'll put a little bit of, I'll strudel a little, or just very drizzle a little olive oil on it, just like I did with the potatoes. Mix it with the spoon, add the salt, the pepper, the garlic powder, the onion powder, and then it goes in the fryer. And it takes about 15 minutes once you do about a dozen carrots. It'll take about 15 minutes on. I put my air fryer on 360 degrees and let it go 15 minutes. Those would come out just like Pamela showed you that Nathan stole.
I was telling my mom today, because she was like, how can I reduce my use of olive oil, but I want to fry some things in the pan, or saute them, or put them in my air fryer. And I just told her, just use a brush, just lay your veggies out and just use a brush.
That's very common.
And then
that's
that way
how I
you'll
put
use
the oil on the cabbage too, was just put a little bit on the brush and just brush it
and
right on.
You can do it evenly too.
Very small.
But here's some quinoa that we made up. So, this is what you could also use as the base to your meal stacking. So we could have done this instead of the brown rice. I just wanted to show this, to you. Always have just this in there. We just throw it in a salad. You can throw it in a soup. You can, throw it in a wrap. I mean, you can get these whole grains in, a variety of ways. So just experiment. The other thing I wanted to talk about, Dan, I don't know where you are with your prep.
I'm good. So we're just about ready for the sauce.
Okay, yeah. Well, here's the thing, and there's no end to types of sauces, dressings, seasonings, whatever that you can put on any of these foods. Okay, so you're gonna have to do some experimenting. That's all I can suggest. I have this great little book that I got. Somebody gave to me a long time ago. I think it's still in print. It's called 500 Vegan Dishes. There's so many different combinations of different things in here, like sauces, stir fries, dressing. So I highly recommend this little book, 500 Vegan Dishes by Deborah Gray. And
it's in a series of 500 this, 500 that. There's 500 cupcake, recipe book. There's 500, how to, grilling book, 500 grilling. But this one that we found was 500.
Yeah, somebody
vegan
gave
dishes.
it to us a long time ago. I don't know where I got it. But anyway, thank you to the person who gave it to me. And this was a Szechuan glazed tofu with asparagus and cashew stir fry. And I've made this before many times, but I really love the sauce that is in this. And it uses, I just put it together while Dan was preparing some other things, the garlic and the onion, and it calls for quite a bit of sugar. I don't put all that sugar. I actually just put a tablespoon of honey and some water and some ginger. I didn't have fresh ginger, so it's okay. I just used some ginger powder, some apple cider vinegar, and I used rice vinegar. You can use rice vinegar, and I'll show it to you. You just boil it down.
But the secret ingredient,
Is this chili sauce, right? And
this Thai chili sauce.
Gosh,
and there's
can you
different
see this, you
brands
guys? Oh,
of
no.
Thai chili sauce, but almost any brand will do. And the sauce comes out to be a very sweet, savory, spicy sauce altogether. A very great Thai sauce that makes a very great
But again,
Thai flair to your stacking meal that you're putting together.
But again, if you don't want it that spicy, that's okay. Just don't put as much chili garlic sauce in there. I mean, or put some more water or add some cinnamon. So let's see, take that dish, Dan, and then I can just put some, lift it up, and then, so
Just a little
put
bit
some
on
of
top.
that around, and again, there you go.
Just to give it some flavor. If you want to put some marinara sauce on it, it
Oh,
has a little more
absolutely.
of an Italian flavor. If you want to put maybe some a peanut sauce, like a Thai peanut sauce, for a little bit different flavor, but you can really vary these plant-based meals where you can go to Italian, or you can go to Thai, or you can go to Pamela made me one when I was on call with some barbecue sauce on it.
Right,
too.
the barbecue
so you can really
sauce.
make it more Americanized with barbecue sauce. But
Here's
anything
some salsa that I got at Whole Foods, and this was good. There was no oil in that salsa. You can put water chestnuts. Don't forget about those. Those are really great and give it crunch. Fire roasted tomatoes. We always have these in our pantry. These are our go-to. It's phenomenal. I mean, you can make a chili with them, but you could put this on, and that would be your sauce. If you want to warm it up. The fire roasted tomatoes are phenomenal. Dan makes an amazing Italian gravy. Okay, there's no Italian in Dan. I'm a half Italian, half Polish, and my mother makes the best gravy, but Dan makes the second best gravy. And but when he doesn't make homemade, or if I don't make homemade, we always have some jars of sauce. And again, you want to just have something that has tomatoes, salt, garlic. This has a little olive oil in it, but you can find them with no oil. Just to let you know, and just a little, white pepper, black pepper. So this is a brand that.
But I always talk about things in jars, bottles, and cans, and really be leery of the amount of salt that companies put in foods in jars, bottles, and cans. And this brand is a jarred sauce that's delicious with very low sodium. So that's why I like to choose it.
And again, when you're looking about the sodium, Dan, give them the little go-to with that. If you're looking at the serving size and how much sodium per serving, what do you also look at to say, okay, this is pretty good?
Right. It's a little trick that I learned from Dr. Novak, who is a great nutritionist. I can't remember where he's working right now, because he was at the Cleveland Clinic for a while. He was at Northwestern for a while, but I'm not sure where he is now. But what he taught me was an easy way to assess whether or not you're getting too much sodium in a product is just think about, they're telling you how many calories per serving you get on the label. And we all eat about 2,000 to 2,400 calories a day, most of us. And the limit on how much sodium you really want is 2,300. Most docs will say for people as you get older, over the age of 60, you should even limit it to 1,500 milligrams per day. But if you just go with that 2,000, 2,300 as being the maximum, if the sodium is the same as the number of calories and you're eating about 2,300, so if the sodium on the label equals the number of calories, that's a good product. You really want to stay away from products where the sodium is greater than the number of calories per serving.
Or double, triple, quadruple.
You'll find that everywhere.
It's hardly ever exactly the same, but it's, just a few more, it would be okay. But you'll see it's surprising at how many have like, oh my gosh.
The best foods have less sodium than the number of calories.
Yeah. And again, you can do this meal stacking with like an Italian theme, so if you had your spinach on the bottom and then you had, we love using all the banza. They have like the lentil pasta, or they have the chickpea pasta, or you can whole wheat, pasta as well. But these are like the plant-based ones. These are fantastic. And then
good taste.
You put, again, think about a little bit of this because this is processed, right? So you're going to have your greens, and then you're going to have a little bit of this, and then you're going to have any of the vegetables. You can put any of the vegetables
Right.
that we put, or you can just do the Italian ones. You can do like the artichoke hearts and the
Zucchini.
Olives and zucchini and
Mushrooms.
roasted red peppers. And the sky's the limit. And then you put your sauce, and if you really want to garnish it, you can take slice up some onions and put them in the air fryer or roast them, and they get crispy, and you put those on if you like that crunch.
So good.
And it's so delicious. I did want to talk, Anna, do we have questions at people? Because I can't see as I'm going along. Okay. We're here. If you have any questions, just, interrupt us. It's fine. We don't mind. The other thing I wanted to say is a quick dressing. I have no oil dressings. Okay. I'm not saying that you can, only use dressings that have no oil. I'm just saying that I know that you're trying to lose weight, look better, be heart healthy. And so, oil sneaks into so many things.
And when you're talking about macronutrients, there isn't anything that's more calorically dense than fat. And oils are just fat, 100% fat.
Yeah.
So it's 9 calories per gram when you're talking fats. If you're talking carbohydrates or proteins, it's 4 calories per gram. So for every gram of fat that you eat, you're getting 2 times more calories than you do from your proteins and your carbohydrates.
So it's just something to think about as you're, trying to slim down, or like I say, to be heart healthy. So this I stole from the Esselstyns. It's 3-2-1, and it's just really, really simple. It's just 3 tablespoons of whatever kind of vinegar that you love. I like to use apple cider vinegar. Great health benefits to apple cider vinegar. And then 2 tablespoons of mustard, any kind of mustard that you like.
Dijon mustard.
That's
it
what
can be
we
honey
like.
mustard. It can
Whatever
be
you love.
anything you have.
French's, regular mustard, and then 1 sweetener. And I'll use the maple syrup, real maple syrup. So 1 tablespoon of that. So, that doesn't make a lot, like
so
for our
3
clan.
vinegar, 2 mustard,
and
1 maple syrup. You can use agave. You can use
I don't love
honey.
the
You can
agave
use,
so much, but
just
yeah.
all different, different
The
things that
sweetener,
you can add.
a sweetener, but I suggest the maple syrup. And 3-2-1, that's really simple dressing, and it's a real crowd pleaser. Salt and pepper, you can add that as well. You can put some garlic powder, onion powder, whatever you like. Okay, we only have a few minutes, so I just wanted to talk about something that I said I would talk about at the beginning of the program, and that was, what do you do when you need some fast food, in your home? And so what are our go-tos? Well, we will go to cauliflower pizza crust. We have veggie. We love making our own veggie burgers. And again, there's no lack of recipes online. Just go to the Google, go to Pinterest, go to your favorite cookbooks. A lot of the restaurants will share their recipes that they have. So if you love a certain one that you have at a restaurant, a lot of times you can find it online. But, sometimes you just don't have time. Okay, so I understand that because we don't have a lot of time either. So we'll just get a veggie burger. And so let me just get what we have here.
But it really is simple to make your own veggie burgers. It's a formula that you need some type of legume, you need some type of grain, you need some root vegetables, you need something that's gonna, help bind it. So you need that grain like an oats really works well. And you find the ones you like. Is it the old-fashioned oats or the quick oats that make yours bind better? Is it the beets, that gives it the flavor you want more than, let's say, the carrots or the parsnips? But it's just you find the formula that you want that brings that burger together.
But we really like the Dr. Prager's. This was good. This is Witkowski approved, right?
Sure.
So
that's their kale veggie burger.
The kale veggie burger by Dr. Prager's. Again, we're not affiliated with them. We just read the label and we liked it and it was delicious. Here's cauliflower crust we got from Wegmans. A lot of cauliflower crusts are made. They'll have added cheese in it. So this one does not. And we like that. And again, I'm talking about the sauces, but was there something else, Anna, that I said that we had? The gnocchi. Yes, you can go get the gnocchi. Yeah.
Nothing better than potatoes.
Again, like potatoes. You're thinking about this, like I'm not saying just, boil up a gigantic plate of gnocchi and, and sauce. No, I'm saying,
I just wanted to say something.
Well, boil it up, but then stack it, stack it, get some greens. I actually, in this case, I would have my greens on the side, just me. Dan, he's like, mix it all in, but, I'd make a salad on the side, but I'll have loads of vegetables on this. It'll just be a little bit of gnocchi and then a lot of vegetables. And then you can make a no oil, and no cheese, basil pesto. You can make that, or you can, I don't know if you can buy, I've never seen that without the cheese, the pesto, but you can make it really easily, or a marinara, or, whatever kind of sauce that you love. What are you
I was going to say two things. One was that sometimes when you have young children in the house, they don't want the rice, they don't want the quinoa. That's when you can just grab, the potatoes, and you can do the stacking with the potatoes, and it really makes for a great meal. The other thing is, if I'm using the oven like I was before the program tonight to try to make some of these things up so you can see them, if that oven's on, I'm always throwing in a couple of sweet potatoes. I just make an X on the top just so that it can breathe, but I throw sweet potatoes in the oven and get them cooked. They're always great to have on hand for a snack. One of my favorite go-to snacks is sweet potatoes. Cut it, put some salsa in it. If the sweet potato was even raw, you just put it in the microwave 5 minutes, flip it for another 4 minutes. You let it cool a little bit because it's going to be really hot. Cut it and throw some salsa in it, and that's a great snack.
You could also slice some avocado. You can put the lentils. You can put any of the beans. Anna, you had refried beans the other day that she made, right? You made the refried beans, and then you had the sweet potato with the refried beans and a little bit of salsa and some sliced avocado, and that was a lunch that held you while you did, taught 4 dance classes online. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that's phenomenal. And again, like, she really likes the refried beans. She likes black beans, but, maybe she doesn't like the lentils. Okay, it's all right. You don't have to have the lentils. That's fine.
What is the brand of marinara?
Oh, this brand of marinara is the Cucina Antica marinara. I got this at Whole Foods.
And they have it just about every store carries that brand.
Sorry. Anna's the Zoom expert. I need my producer, Anna.
Cheryl said that Trader Joe's cauliflower gnocchi is delicious. I've had that.
Oh,
it's delicious.
The Trader Joe's. Anna has had it. Yeah.
So many of their brands are so good.
Yes. Yeah.
I like the way they put together vegetables too. You mentioned earlier about stir frying. If you don't want to do all the chopping, if you don't have the knife skills yet that you want, Trader Joe's will even blend them together. They'll give you some frozen Asian style vegetables if you wanted to do a rice stir fry.
Absolutely.
So you just buy it, it's flash frozen, it's picked when it's fresh. They don't pick it early and then gas it to ripen it and then put it on the shelf and pretend like it's fresh. Sometimes when you buy frozen from reputable places like Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. They're frozen right. It's delicious.
One thing I just discovered that my daughter Sarah told me about was frozen mushrooms.
Yes.
And they are absolutely delicious. I never knew that you could get the mushrooms. I believe that everybody should have mushrooms every day. I mean, they're just so delicious. They're so versatile. A million ways you can make them. Exactly. Those are great in the air fryer. They're great raw. I mean, they're just very versatile. So get your mushrooms in too, and that'd be great on any of the dishes that we talked about tonight.
Well, we should. Any other last minute questions? We probably should wrap this up, and then Pamela's gonna have it up again.
I will put it on YouTube. For some reason, episode 2, I don't know. It's somewhere. It was recorded. We just can't find it anywhere. So I don't know. I did ask Zoom, but I'm like 1/1,000,000th in line for questions because everybody's been using Zoom.
But then we can even get some more questions on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
And if anyone has any other things they
or on
want
the
to
Facebook
add,
page.
we just love to keep the conversation going.
Yep. I do owe some people some emails because they've emailed, and you can always email at info@danielwitkowskimd.com. Email any questions. That's fantastic. We love your questions, love your suggestions. And I think we're done with the program tonight. Okay. Thanks for showing up, you guys.
Yes, thanks for sharing this time with us.
Okay.
We'll see you again soon.
Bye.